our next one's going to be NBA Coach of the Year. So
I'll keep this one short because it's very similar to the thing that I was just talking about. I'm saying Doc Rivers. A lot of Clippers, right here. But again, I think Doc Rivers is going to be, recognized for what he's done. Traded away Tobias Harris. It's supposed to be tanking, and they end up making, the 8th seed, and they actually take the Warriors to 6 games. I think he gets a lot of the players, and I think with the load management that's going to happen with Kawhi and Paul George, they're still going to remain a top-level seed, even with that. And I think people are going to see that it's not just having a lot of star power. People get Steve Kerr and they realize how good of a coach he is because they're like, well, you have 4 All-Stars, you have 5 All-Stars. But, seeing that when they're going to take that time off, I think people will be able to see that despite that, they'll keep up the same level of high, a really high record, probably top 2 seed in the West. So,
historically, Coach of the Year has gone to probably the best coach in the league or a coach that takes a historically bad team and makes them good. So that's why the coach of the Rochester Royals, the Sacramento Kings, Luke Walton,
nice.
I think he's going to win it. And here's my reason.
Okay.
The Kings have the longest drought in the NBA right now, playoff drought in the NBA right now at 13 years. 2006 was the last time they won the playoffs, and it's not close. They won 39 and 43 last year. They have the roster to make it to the playoffs. I really do. I know they played horribly last night against the Suns.
I agree with you.
Yeah, they have the roster to make it. I mean, they're going all in this year. No one's going to sign with them as a free agent. They got to blow through the draft, and that's what they've done. I think if they make the playoffs, and I do think they will make the playoffs, I think Luke Walton gets it simply because of the fact that they've been a historically really bad franchise. And I think just like typically voters will see that, a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 14 years is, if they're in, I think that it's an easy choice that Luke Walton gets it.
Okay.
not bad choices. You have Luke Walton, not a bad choice. Obviously, you had
Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers. Obviously, I can't believe I forgot Doc Rivers. However, so my coach of the year choice is actually in the Eastern Conference. But let me just say first that if any coach is going to win it in the Western Conference, without a doubt, it is Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors. Steve Kerr is such an underappreciated coach. He took a Golden State team under Mark Jackson, which Mark Jackson was great defensively for that team. He really instilled the defensive, principles that you need to have as players. But Steve Kerr incorporated many offenses. He took Greg Popovich's pace and space offense and mixed that in with Phil Jackson's triangle offense and made something special and utilized that to fit the personnel that he had there. The jump shooting team of the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson at the time. But now they have another jump shooter. They have another sharpshooter in D'Angelo Russell. I fully expect the Golden State Warriors to be slept on. However, Steve Kerr, with that team, they don't have the depth anymore. I know they lost Iguodala. I know they lost Sean Livingston. However, that team with Steve Kerr, D'Angelo Russell, I expect that backcourt to be amazing. I think the Warriors are being slept on. I think Steve Kerr is being slept on as a coach, and I feel like he's going to get the most out of their players there. But let me get on to my coach of the year prediction. So when I think about my criteria, when I think about the coach of the year, I think about a word known as synergy. I think about a team where the sum of its parts is greater than each part individually. So when I look at the Miami Heat have a lot of good talent there. They have okay talent, mediocre talent. Jimmy Butler, obviously an all-star. He's great. Then you have Goran Dragic, Tyler Hero, Dion Waiters. Now, Erick Spoelstra is an amazing coach. He's long overdue. He's taking that team who didn't have Jimmy Butler, who didn't really have a standout all-star, to the playoffs. Now that they have Jimmy Butler, they have Tyler Hero, and they have Goran Dragic, that team is going to be the team to be reckoned with in the East. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with because Erick Spoelstra, obviously he's coached LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. He has the pedigree. He has the experience. Now he has Jimmy Butler. The culture there is going to be perfect. Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler is a match made in heaven. He's going to know when to play players together, and I feel like Erick Spoelstra is my choice for Coach of the Year in Miami.
Interesting. I'm processing that right now. I'm just thinking the Miami Heat. See, when you said Eastern Conference, my first thought was you're going to go with the Pacers. I would have loved that pick actually, but the Heat, the Heat. I agree. Okay, so I agree that he's been long overdue. But you can say that for a lot of coaches. I mean, I would say the same thing with Doc Rivers. I think Steve Curry's long overdue as well. And, I mean, obviously Pop. Pop's always there. But I just, see, for me, in order for the Heat, in order for the coach of the year to go to Erick Spoelstra, I think that he needs to still outperform expectations. And I'm thinking that's like a 5 or a 4 seed. Like maybe 4 seed or like 5 seed at the lowest. But I think if they get a 6 seed, That's not crazy. I think their talent level, and given how competitive the East is right now, which isn't really that competitive, I think a 6 seed's pretty much average, to be honest, for given their talented team. If they're able to take them to a 4 seed, I would believe that. I just don't believe that's going to happen.
Well, here's what I'm saying. Obviously, Doc Rivers is a phenomenal coach.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be my criteria. It doesn't have to be the best coach on the best team.
Okay.
It has to be the player who's going to get the most synergy, who's going to get a team that's better than the sum of its parts. And I fully believe that Erick Spoelstra will do that in Miami. The Eastern Conference is wide open right now, in my opinion. People talk about the 76ers, talk about the Boston Celtics. I think the Miami Heat, I think we have to start, considering them as a top team, as a sleeper team in the East. I think the Miami Heat, that team, people aren't talking about them right now. People will definitely be talking about them later on in the season, especially if Tyler Hero is performing the way he is, and Jimmy Butler as well.
Okay, I can see that.
I think Erick Spoelstra is a great coach, but I agree with Sauce on this, where it's like, how much better are they going to be from last year to this year? I think everyone in the league respects Erick Spoelstra as a coach. I think he's one of the better coaches in the league.
Yeah.
But I think the roster has its limitations, and as good as it's going to be, I think it's either, as I said earlier, either a historically bad franchise or one of the best teams in the league is going to get it, and I don't think either of those are true of what's going to happen with the Heat this year.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. I think they are in a very solid position, but they're not in a terrible position where you elevate them, and they're not in a great position where you elevate them even higher. To it's like you're kind of in the middle. You're in integration strategy. You're a little between, but it's almost like you're tanking, but you're not tanking.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought they were last season. But now they acquired Jimmy Butler. They drafted Tyler Hero. He looks promising, and I feel like that backcourt, people aren't talking about them enough. I don't think they're in a no-go zone like you guys are saying. I think that they're above now. I think, maybe last year they were, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th seed possibly, in that tier. I think this year it's going to propel them up now. I think now we have to start talking about them as a top 4 or 5 team in the East.
I do see them 4 to 6 range.
Yeah, I could see. I mean, it's going to be hard to see. It's hard to compare them because obviously they've never played Jimmy Butler yet. But yeah, I could definitely see them sneaking into 3.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the Bucks and the Sixers seeds to lose.
Yeah.
But I mean, I definitely can see if they get to that 3 range, if they get 1 or 2, I think you can definitely win it for sure.
Yeah. It's just, I'm just looking, 76ers, I'm looking at Bucks, I'm looking at Pacers, I'm looking at Celtics, and I'm like, I take all 4 of those teams over the Heat, to be honest, for this. And then you give the Nets in the mix, and, even Orlando, and I'm not even saying they'll finish ahead of them, but, I think those 4 teams, I don't see them as anything more than a 5 seed, at best. But again, Erick Spoelstra is a great coach. He hasn't been fully recognized. I think his talent is not maybe going to be reflected in the voting, but I just don't see it for this year.
All right. So that's